All right. I'd like to introduce Tom Bayek from the United States, and Tom has multiple sclerosis. Welcome, Tom.
Thank you. It's nice to talk to you.
Good. Could you tell us, Tom, when you were diagnosed with multiple sclerosis?
I was diagnosed on May 8th, 1984.
May I ask how old you were then?
41.
41, okay. And what
I was shocked.
I bet you were. What was your life like before diagnosis? Were you a very active person?
Yes, I was. I owned a restaurant, and I was very active, and I continued. I've done very well with MS. I've never taken any drugs, but needless to say, when I was diagnosed, I didn't know anything about MS, and it was a shock to me. I actually thought my life was over because I really didn't know anything about it at that time.
Yeah. What were your symptoms at that time, Tom?
Well, I had symptoms going back many years. Very often it felt like I was walking on marbles. At times, if I needed to reach into my pocket to get a coin, I would have difficulty determining what was in my pocket, so I'd have to take everything out and look at it and then pick out whatever it is I was after.
Mm-hmm.
And these symptoms would come and go for many. They probably went back to the time I was maybe 18 or 19 years old.
Right.
They would come and go.
Yeah. And what about, having a restaurant, you must have been extremely busy. Did fatigue play a part in your symptoms?
I never really had fatigue, and I still don't. I've had, varying symptoms that would come and go, and I went to doctors the first few years, and each time I went to a doctor, they would send me to another doctor, and they would give me a pill, and the pill would actually make me so drowsy that I stopped going. I didn't go to doctors for many years, and then I had surgery because I was told I had a pinched nerve, and that was in 1970. And I had an operation on my cervical spine, and within a couple of months the symptoms all returned, so then I had a second operation, and the symptoms returned again, and at that point I didn't go to doctors until 1984.
Okay. So how did you learn about LDN?
LDN I found out about, let's see, I've been on it since 2004. I think around 2002 there was a lot of conjecture regarding LDN on the internet. I belong to several internet MS groups, and I looked into it for the better part of a year. And then finally I called Dr. Bahari in New York, and I became a patient of his. And in July of 2004, I started taking LDN. And I've never taken any other drugs. And to this day, I have never missed a day.
Well, you were very lucky. I never had the chance to meet Dr. Bahari. I was hoping to meet him at the first LDN conference in New York in 2005, but unfortunately he was unable to attend. So, you're very lucky.
I no doubt, because he was an extraordinary human being.
Yes, that's a fact. So, how has LDN helped with your symptoms?
Well, it certainly hasn't cured MS, but there's many symptoms that I've never had. I've never had any eye trouble. I've never had urinary trouble. I've never had sex trouble. I've never had a lot of the typical MS symptoms. I've never had fatigue. What I do have are spasms in my legs and lower back, which I've had for, I would say, a good 10 or 12 years now.
Mhm.
And they have remained constant. They haven't become worse, but they also haven't improved.
Right.
So the LDN, I don't think has, it certainly hasn't cured anything, but it has stopped the progression, because all of these other symptoms that I've mentioned, I've thankfully never had. And I do take a lot of vitamins, and I have 4.5 milligrams of LDN every night, which I've never missed.
Mhm.
And I can attribute it to that. I mean, I eat properly. I eat good, wholesome foods. I don't drink alcohol very much. Every now and then I'll have a glass of wine or 2 glasses of wine. And I guess it's just more or less common sense at this point.
Mhm. And did you have any initial side effects when you started LDN?
Well, yeah, when I started LDN, the only side effect I ever really had was the first 2 weeks or so. There was some sleep disturbance and some vivid dreams that actually I kind of enjoyed the dreams. But that only lasted maybe 10 days or 2 weeks, and it's never returned.
Oh, that's good. Silly question. Will you continue taking LDN?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I wouldn't be without it.
And if somebody
I've
came
never missed it.
if somebody came to you saying they were thinking of starting LDN but were a little bit wary, what would be your advice to them?
Well, I would advise them to first of all, if they don't know anything about it, just to look up at the information that's on the LDN website, and then I would very, very strongly encourage them to proceed, because there's really nothing to lose. I mean, the side effects are so minimal that, and they last such a short period of time that. And the obvious success of it. I mean, I have a neurologist that I go to here. She's a female, and she's, I guess, maybe 48 to 50 years old, and she was diagnosed with breast cancer about 4 years ago. And I conveyed to her what I do with LDN, and she started taking LDN, and she, to this day, is taking LDN, and she's doing very well with her problem.
And who prescribes your LDN now that Dr. Bahari is no longer with us?
Well, I when I went to Dr. Bahari, I lived in Massachusetts, but 7 years ago I moved to Florida. So when I moved to Florida, I got a different neurologist, and that's who prescribes it now.
Oh, so it's your own neurologist that's prescribing it for you?
Yes.
Oh, that's very good.
I also have discussed it with, I have a primary care physician. We got a pretty confusing healthcare system here, where my primary care physician is, you know, the doctor you go to for every little thing.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Other than MS. I have also given him a lot of information about the LDN, and he will also prescribe it if I need him to do that.
Well,
Because
good.
he's also very interested in it, and he is prescribing it for several. He has several other MS patients that he's giving it to.
Mm-hmm. And do you get your prescription filled from Skips in Florida?
Yes, I do.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you very much for sharing your story with us, Tom.
Well, you're very welcome anytime.
Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Bye-bye.